Class, welcome to our next video. We are working on translating words into variable expressions now. Alright? So now, we actually did some of this earlier in the year, and you guys did really, really well with it. And by that I mean thinking about words and words in English that mean addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. So you guys might remember that. Well, we're here to go through a few more of those and now to kind of give you a reason why we're doing it, okay? And really that is because we want to be able to translate verbal phrases into variable expressions. Alright, so that is the goal. That is what we're working towards. Let's see how we do. So, these addition phrases. All of these next ones are going to mean addition. So we could say the sum of 6 and a number. Well, if we're talking about the sum of 6 and a number, well, that just means 6, a number, and then sum means plus. So if you notice, guys, what did I do? I said that my number was going to be x. Why did I have to do that? Well, hopefully you guys just kind of remember from our vocabulary at the beginning of the year. If we're talking about just a number, can that be a 5? Can it be a 10? Can it be a negative 30,000? It can be anything. We don't know what it is. So what we have to do is we have to make sure we put a variable in. Does it have to be an x? No, it really doesn't. Maybe on the next one I'll try something a little different, okay? The idea here is whenever you see the word or words, a number, that should be a hint. Oh, not hit, hint. Let me rewrite that. Hint. Variable. Okay, you need a variable when we say a number, because it can be any number. Now, our next example. 8 blank blank a number. Okay, so I think that this one is more than, and hopefully you guys agree with me that if we're going to go 8 more than a number, well then we have to actually add 8 to the number. Once again, does a number have to be x? No, but it has to be some variable because we have to start with some number that we don't know. And hopefully that makes sense. We don't know the number, so we have to give it a letter. We have to make it a variable. So in this case, I might use the letter n. So now this one, if I'm going to go 8 more than a number, well that means that I actually have my number and I'm adding 8 more to it. Okay? Note, if you're going 8 more than a number, you're really starting with the number and adding 8 to it, okay? So it's kind of important, if you notice, n actually comes before the 8 in this case. Now this next one is probably going to be the easiest for you. We'd say a number plus 5. If we ever see a number plus 5, well, again, maybe I'll use x, but again, plus just means I add 5 to whatever variable I set for a number. And oh my gosh. Sorry it took me so long on this one, guys. It took me, I had a little brain fart. Okay, so our last addition phrase. A number blank by 7. Oh, okay. So we're going to use the word increase. Or increased by. Alright? If something increases, you know it has to go up. So this is another way of saying addition. A number increased by 7. Once again, you can pick any letter for your number. Maybe in this case I'll go Z. And so Z, and then I'm going to add 7 to it. Alright? Once again, sorry for that brain fart. I will try to do better. So as we move on to the subtraction phrases now, some of them could be new, some of them you might have heard before. Regardless, I want you guys to write them down so that you have them in one single spot. Okay, so the first one. This is kind of the word that is similar to sum, but when we talk about subtraction, we actually talk about the difference. Alright, and so what we say here is the difference between 5 and a number. Now, if we want the difference between 5 and a number, that means we are starting with the 5 and we're taking away the number. All right, the difference between 5 and a number means you start with the first piece and you subtract the second piece. Do you see how this is first and this is second? Well, it should look the same way when you're translating. Our next subtraction phrase is similar to this one, where we had a number plus 5. Well, 7 blank a number, what are we thinking, anyone? How about minus? If you have 7 minus a number, this should look very similar to our last one. So 7 minus a number would just be 7 minus x. What if I tell you that this next one is very similar to this bottom one of addition, where we had a number increased? Well, now if we want to subtract, we can always decrease. So a number decreased by 9, and again, be very careful of order here. A number decreased by 9 means that you have to start with the number and take away 9 from it. All right? So a number decreased by 9 would look something like that. That's an x. Sorry, guys. Here's probably the toughest one on the whole sheet. All right? 4 less than a number. All right? Now, I want you to be really, really careful here, and actually don't even look at your paper right now. Imagine you're trying to find 4 less than 10. Okay? Don't even think about it on paper. If I were to ask you what's 4 less than 10, hopefully you would tell me that the answer, or that value, is 6. So now we have to be really careful. If we were to go and try to do that on paper, so 4 less than 10, 4 less than 10, what would we do? Would we do 4 minus 10 or 10 minus 4? Well, hopefully you guys agree 4 minus 10, which is the order that it looks like it's in, right? 4 less than a number. 4 less than 10, 4 minus 10. The problem is that's negative 6. That's not what we got. We said that 10 or 4 less than 10 was positive 6, like this one. Okay, so the idea here, and I know it's goofy, but when you see less than, it actually kind of gets reversed. All right, this comes first and this comes second. All right, so 4 less than a number actually means that we're going to go x minus 4. All right? Okay. Let's keep going. Maybe we'll change colors, and we'll go on to some multiplication phrases. These aren't too bad. Let's see how we're doing here. Okay. Similar to addition being sum, subtraction, difference, the word for multiplication is always product. The product of 9 and a number. Now, we have multiple options here, and I'm okay with either. If we know we're doing the product of 9 and a number, the important thing is that you know that it's multiplication. So if you want to say 9 times x, that's fine. I hope you remember, though, and we've been starting to talk about this, when there's multiplication between a number and a variable, remember you can always just write it right next to each other. Okay? Okay. How about this one? 10 blank a number. Ooh, I think that one's times, right? When we talk about the word times, it means multiplication. And so in this case, once again, you could do 10 times x, or remember that it's the same as 10x. All right, let's see here. A number blank by 3. Oh, okay, a number multiplied, right? Multiplied by 3. So a number multiplied by 3, technically, that would look like this, right? X times 3. Guess what? If you write that, I'm okay with it for right now. However, I do want you to remember that, can you multiply in either order? Like, can you go a number times 3 or 3 times a number? So really, x times 3 is the same as 3x. All right, and our last one really works a lot when we have fractions. 1/4 of a number. When we say 1/4 of a number, that means that you're taking that number, you only want 1/4 of it, so it's 1/4 times your variable, or once again, 1/4 x. You don't need the times. Alright, okay, last page. We got to do some division, and then we'll do some practice, and then we will call it a day. Okay, so division phrases. The big word for division is quotient. Alright, when we talk about a quotient, that tells us that we're talking division. So the quotient of a number in 6 just means that you're dividing that number by 6. X over 6, a lot of the times when I do these, I like to use fractions, just because I know that that fraction bar means division. If you wrote x divided by 6, I don't think I would count that wrong, but this is more what I'm looking for, okay? And then lastly, 7, oh, this one's an easy one, divided by. So 7 divided by a number. So be very careful of order here. Just like above, the quotient of a number in 6, it went, well actually let's go top and bottom. It's the same thing here. It's going to go in order as it's seen, so top and bottom. So 7 divided by a number just means 7 over x. Now before we move on to the next section, I do just want to remind you, the variable doesn't matter. The important part is that you understand that when you see the words, a number, it means there has to be a variable. Okay, so notice I used x's, n's, x's, z's, and then I kind of just stuck with x's. You can pick a letter and stick with it. It might be a little easier for yourself and for grading purposes, but you can also spruce it up if you're getting a little bored. Alright? Okay, now, this is what I would say. At some point during the next 14 questions, you should absolutely try to stop watching my video, pause, see if you can get the rest of them on your own, and then kind of fast forward a little bit to get the answers. But stick with me until you kind of feel confident with these. Okay, so let's see here. Ooh, number 1, the difference. That's my key word. If we look it up, difference is a subtraction word. So I know that if I want the difference between a number and 12, oop, there should be an and, sorry about that. Well then, that means I'm going to take some number, and I'm going to subtract 12. So in this case, I would take x, and I would subtract 12 from it. Alright, so big ideas here, guys. I would strongly encourage you to kind of underline things that are helpful, such as difference. Some of you guys might want to underline the word a number so you know where you're going to put your variable. But again, do what you need to do in order for you to understand what we're asking. Now, the next one, product. If you need to, go back, but hopefully we agree that product is a times or multiplication word. So in this case, I know I'm going to be using multiplication, and it says of 2 and a number. Okay, so I have to multiply 2 and a number, or just 2x. Alright, let's keep going. Keyword here, ooh, plus. So a number plus 16 means x plus 16. How about the next one? 32 decreased. Ooh, I like that. Decreased by a number. So I remember that decreased is a subtraction word. And if I'm decreasing 32 by a number, that means I have to start with my 32 and take away the number. As we move on to number 5, the quotient. Okay, quotient is important, number important. Quotient means division, which means I'm definitely going to have a division bar. If it's 8 and a number, remember, it kind of goes in order. So top, bottom. 8 over x. How about number 6? Number 6, negative 15 increased by a number. Okay, increased tells me plus. Negative 15 increased by a number. Okay, so I have negative 15, and I'm adding a number to it. See, this is not that bad, guys, right? We just keep finding our keywords so that we can figure these out. So multiplied by a number. So 5 multiplied by a number would be 5 times x, or if you want, remember that you can just write them right next to each other. Ooh, here we go. We're getting a little tricky now. 1/3 of a number. 1/3 of a number, if you guys remember, is down at the bottom of the front page. Of is our keyword for multiplication, especially with using fractions. So I know I'm going to have times. I'm going to have 1/3 as my fraction of a number means 1/3 times x, or just 1/3 x. 25 less than a number. 25 less than a number. Okay. So 25 less than a number. I know that, like, this is the tricky one. Hopefully you guys agree. Less than, subtraction. But the tricky part here, guys, is that less than a number means that you're actually starting. It kind of goes in reverse order. You start here. You got to start with the number. And you have to take away the 25. Okay? 25 less than a number means that you're starting at some number and taking 25 away, which means it's important that it's not 25 minus x, but x minus 25. So I'm actually going to write 25 minus x, and I am going to give a big cross out through it because that is not the same thing. These are different. 25 less than a number, or anything less than a number, is the only one where it kind of switches places on you. Okay? Alright, let's try to get through these last few because I know I'm running long. A number times 17. Okay, a number times 17. So times, a number means variable, 17 is the value. X times 17, same thing as 17x. Alright, moving right along, the sum of a number and 11. Oh, sum, that's plus. So if I'm taking the sum of a number and 11, well then I'm adding x, and I'm adding 11 to it, just like that. Okay, a number divided by -2. Well, a number divided by means I'm going to have top, bottom in the order that you think. So x over -2. Minus is a keyword for subtraction. A number minus 75 means I have to start at said number. I have to minus 75 from it. Last one, 20 more than a number. Now more than is a keyword for addition. I know I'm going to be using addition. 20 more than a number to me sounds like I'm starting with the number and I'm tacking 20 more to it, so I need to add 20 to it. I do want you to know on this one that, like, this is the way I think about it. If you said 20 plus x, you would actually get the same answer, so that would be okay in this case. I'm not going to put a line through it, I'll say it's okay. Alright, so I know this was super long. I hope that you have a good understanding of these words and how they are used in translating verbal phrases into variable expressions. Alright, have a good one. Peace.